Morning. Welcome to the International English Language Testing System. This is a mobile speaking test conducted by Modern English Academy. So today I'm examining. My name is Rafet Munshi. This exam is divided into three parts. Before the main test, I would like to ask you some personal questions. So I hope you're ready. What is your full name?
My full name is Ahnaf Tazwar. You can call me Ahnaf.
Where do you come from?
I come from Barishal, but now I live in Dhaka.
Are you working or studying?
I'm a student in the Manipur High School and College in class
What do
9.
you usually in your free time?
I read books or I draw some pictures.
Okay, let's move to the main part. Part one is about family. Do you have a large family or a small family?
At current, I have a small family, but in the past, I had a large family with my grandparents. But since we live alone and we have a small family now, now my family members are my mom, my dad, me, and my sister, and that's all.
Can you tell me something about them?
Well, about my family members, my mother's name is Niti Islam, and she is a housewife. My father's name is Saidul Islam, and he is a businessman. And my sister is still a student, as well as me. And this is it.
How much do you manage to spend with the members of your family?
Well, I try to manage a lot of time for my family. I always end up making a lot of time. I get a lot of time to spend with my family. So because I love them and I don't want to make them feel alone, and I always try to save some time and do everything professionally properly so I can get some time. I don't want to slack off in a work, so I'll I won't save any time. I always try to save time and give them enough time and make them happy.
What sort of things do you like to do together?
Well, about that, I like to do a lot of things with my family. Most of the time, I just talk with them, chat with them, gossip with them. But other than that, I play any games. I play carom, I play chess with my father, or I play carom with my mother, or I play some watch TVs with my sister. And this is all I do with my family. I most of the time I just talk with my mother or my sister or my father. I ask them about everything, how they are, how are they feeling, how is life going, and that's it. I don't really play much with them. Most of the time I just spend time talking with them.
So, are you getting with your family?
Yeah, I'm getting enough time with my family, and I think they are happy.
Okay, so that was the end of our part one. Now let's move to the part two. In this part, I will give you a cue card. You have to talk 1 to 2 minutes about the topic. So, about
Okay.
your cue cards, raise your pen. Your time starts from now. So, your time is over. You should start from now.
Okay, that is a very interesting topic. It is about this teacher that influenced me. Well, if I talk about that, I'll talk about my English teacher, Mullik Mahfuzul Islam. Well, he is a very nice person. He is a good teacher. I first met him at the time when I was desperately looking for a good English teacher. And it is very hard to find a good English teacher who really cares about the language, who thinks the language as a language rather than a subject. And then I found him. I am learning from him for a really long time. Well, he teaches very good English, and he also does a thing called spoken English, where he teaches you how to speak English with
Very good.
fluency. So he's very kind. He's not overly strict. So that is something I really like him. And also the thing he genuinely cares about his students. That's why I really like him. If you don't understand anything, he'll give you extra time. Even give him time alone so you can understand everything properly. Even through you doing a batch where you study with most a lot of people, he still gives you some time alone. So you will be able to understand everything. Well, he influenced me to be a good person because he always talks about that what you should do in the future and how your activities will affect your future. So that's why I always end up doing a good thing. And I can say that most of the things I learned from him. And he is doing the thing, his responsibility as a teacher, which is not something you'll find in most teachers these days because not every teacher acts like a teacher. But he is different and he is kind, he is helpful and very good teacher, I can say, because he's good in everything and really cares about you.
That is in the part two. Also, let's move to the part three about developments in education. So, how has education changed in your country in the last 10 years?
Education is a thing that changed a lot in only few years. Like in the past, you will see that most people weren't able to, get a higher education. Most of them were after completing school, they just started doing jobs. Some of them got married. Some of them had a family at such age when you can are just a student, just normal kid. So back in the day, people didn't really care about education, which is the reason, which is why, because my country was very poor, the economic wasn't that the best. It was the second most poor country in our world, and the thing is, the population really destroys it, because if you have so many people who are willing to study, you can't give every one of them the chance to study, because our government isn't the best. Our government is poor and needs a lot of resource from other country, and since it's a very small country, not every country in the world cares about it. So in the past, after the war, we are helpless, and only some few percent of people used to study, and higher education was literally an impossible thing to imagine from a person in the past. But now it's entirely the opposite. Now taking proper education is nothing. It's like everybody has at least basic education, and they won't find a single person who doesn't understand this basic education. And higher education is also very easy to get. Everything is less cheaper, also it's easier to get, and also there are many teachers who are willing to help you, not like in the past where you have to struggle so much by yourself. You have to learn by yourself, you have to understand by yourself, you have to look for the answer for yourself by yourself. But now you have so many guidelines, so it's very easy, and that's why studying and having a higher education today is very easy, because everything changed in a few years, and 10 years is a long time. A lot of things changed in our country, and because of the change of education, our whole country changed, and everybody knows about our country in the world.
So, do you know mean that in present people think that higher education is a basic
Yeah,
education?
no, it's, I think that people don't really think of it as a hard thing. Rather, they think of it as an easy thing, just something like a book. Just open it and read it, and that's it. You don't really need to be worried, because you have so many guidelines and teachers who can make you understand what the thing is. So everything is far easier, and that's why people are easily getting higher
Higher
education.
education. Okay. So, what changes do you force in the next 50 years?
I think a lot of things have changed, but I gotta tell you, I don't know about the future. I'm not a future teller, but I gotta say that a lot of things, not a lot, lot of things will change. Just imagine, so many things changed in only 10 years. So think, 50 years is a very long time. After 50 years, everything will be entirely different. At least that's what I expect it to be. Because if 10 years can change the whole image of the country, I think the 50 years will literally change all the people in our country. Maybe there won't be any poor people anymore, because if you have education, you won't need to be poor. Or maybe there will be poor people, but most of them will be educated. I think 90% people in our country will be educated, or at least will have basic knowledge. So because everything will be far easier, and since it is going to be easier, so you will easily learn education, learn, go to school. You don't need to worry about money, you don't need to worry about anything. So if the situation is like that, what's bad in studying? Even beggars will study. Even beggars will send their students, their son and daughter to school, because it's going to be far more easier. And now you say why education is hard, because there is a lack of educated people. But I think in the future everything will be replaced by machines, or eh,
AI system.
artificial intelligence. Because if they do everything, then we won't need any manpower. And if there is a manpower needed, there is also the need of money will be decreased. So even beggars will maybe will teach their students. Even bigger students will do higher things in their future. So I think if 10 years can change so many things, 50 years will literally make our country a really good country, or maybe we will reach the level of United States or United Kingdom. Well, at least that's what at least I think. There's a lot of things can happen in the meantime, but I think that is something that is going to happen because through time we just evolved. We didn't become bad or worse. Rather, we are better than our past self. So, in 50 years is a long time. A lot of things will change. At least that's what I think.
So, on national education system, how do expectations of today's school leavers compare with those of the previous generation?
Well, there's a very big difference between the school leavers these days and in the past. Well, let me give you an example by giving talking about other country school leavers. If you talk about United States or United Kingdom or Australia, where you'll find that most people don't really care about higher education. Rather, they look for jobs or things that is going to help them in the future, things that is going to help their family because they think of the future, not the present, which is very nice because they really care about living a good life rather than actually understanding what they're learning. That's why they don't really take higher education. Rather, they just take education enough to give them a good job to feed their family. And though there are some people like a lot of scientists, engineers, and doctors, where and most of them comes from that country because in those sort of countries they don't really force you to be something. Rather, they tell you that be what you want to be. So not everybody wants to be a higher educated person. Some people don't really want it, which is not a bad thing. But if I talk about my own country, you have to take higher education. If you don't, you're not even a good person. People will see you as a bad person. People will see you as a illiterate person with no knowledge and nothing. They will ignore you and won't even like you. And thus, if without education you don't have a good job, and if you have a bad job, no one will respect you. So in my country, after leaving school, they don't stop there. The life isn't over. They still start doing more education.
Higher education,
Yeah, like they look for a good college. After college, they look for a good
university.
university. And after university, there are more things. Some even do that. So, but normally in my country, I see that most people just look for a good college or university, but there are also level of education after that. Some people are interested in that because
They
some
don't
people
need
really
PhD.
need, yeah, because in my country education is a very necessary thing. And now you will ask me why, because our country is a very poor country and we need more educated people to help our country. That's why everybody forces you to get education rather than be focusing on your life. That's why there are so many jobless people who are so highly educated because they don't really never care about the future. They just continue studying and studying even if they're not interested in it. And just as you know, if you're not interested in a thing, you won't be able to learn it. You need proper interest in a thing, otherwise you can never learn it.
Okay.
There you will always be lazy, or without interest you can really be a good person in the work you're doing. So that is why there is a lot of problems in my country. But since the question is about my country, I will say that people really look for higher education rather than running for jobs or something like that, because looking for jobs is a thing people do after they're really old or very very educated and intelligent. Before that they just start look for a college
About
or
college.
university.
What role do you think extracurricular activities plays in education?
Extracurriculum thing is something we really need since our country really needs educated people. We don't need educated people who have no jobs. They are not truly educated. Rather, we need people who are truly educated because of, and for that, we need extracurriculum activities like doing everything practically. Like people say science is boring because they don't really understand science. If you do the science experiments in practical, people everyone will watch it. Even the most worst boy in the class will like it and will be interested in it because truly nothing is boring. Everything has a beauty in it. Every subject is interesting and necessary. And using extracurricular activities, you can make every student interested. And if they're interested, just like I said, if they're interested enough, they'll never skip school and they'll never bunk school. Rather, they'll always be interested in studying because using extracurricular activity, we can make them interested in what they want. Like education seems boring for us, but we can make it enjoyable and fun using extracurricular activity, and that's why I think it's really necessary for every country.
So different styles of teaching and learning. What method of learning works best for you?
Well, if you say learning method, I often look for I use the inclusive learning method. In this method, you don't really need to memorize something or write down, make a lot of books, buy a lot of books, take hundreds of notes. I don't like that. I believe in a method that is more depending on your how much you understand. Because if you really understand the topic, you don't really need notes or nor you need a good guide. You can just do it by your own self. We need guides because we are lazy and because we don't really understand the topic, which is not our fault, which is the teacher's fault. If we I believe in understanding the topic because that is what necessary and that is going to help you in the future. Just taking note and memorizing is not all. Like just like Rabindranath Tagore said, a cheater and the person who memorizes everything is the same. Because seriously, they don't really not learn anything. A cheater knows nothing, and the guy who memorizes everything knows nothing either, because he just works hard. That's the difference. So I think inclusive studying method is more for me because I can really
It's
memorize.
effective.
Yes, because I'm not a guy who really memorizes everything or takes a lot of notes. I'm a lazy guy, so I depend on understanding the main thing.
Okay. So how beneficial do you think is a group students according to their level or ability?
It may be beneficial for a lot of people, but for me personally, I don't like it because if you make groups according to their level, that's like think if you're a very bad student. And of course, if you make groups according to your level, you'll only find another boy who is the same level as you. But if you do that, you can learn anything at all because your partner is also not that intelligent and same as you. But if we do with different type of people, like if you work with the first boy in your class, you will learn a lot of things, and the same goes for other.
Mixture of
Yeah,
all
I think
students.
mixture of students will really help the students. So I don't think it's beneficial at all. It will just keep bad student bad and good student good. But we shouldn't really care about that. We should care about the bad student too in order to truly progress.
Yes,
So
they are
I
also
think,
feature of our country.
yeah, but they don't really learn anything because they're the bad student. And if you know, if even a good boy turns into a bad boy, if you roam and hang out with the bad people. So you should really stay away from them and try staying with the good student. And that's why you shouldn't make group according to your abilities and level and rank. Rather, we should make a mixture of different type of students. So you can learn a lot of things.
So that was the end of our part and also end of your speech. So thank you very much. And
If
if
you
I
like the video, please
yes,
like and
yes.
subscribe.